Hi, I'm here with Tia, Omar, Elliana, and little brother's not in the picture, Ezra. And they are missionaries in Mexico. I'm not actually with them in Mexico. I'm in Kentucky. Um, and then Tia is also from Kentucky, and in a little bit I'll let her share with you where she is from Kentucky. So many of you know that our international mission study focus is Mexico City this past year. The Losas are not in Mexico City, but I'm going to let them tell you exactly where they are in Mexico. Can you do that?
No.
We're in Guadalajara.
Oh,
Mexico City is the first largest city in Mexico, and Guadalajara is the second largest.
okay, good.
And they are like 7 hours different, like by driving. Yeah.
Okay, all right.
It's like driving from one side of Kentucky to the other.
There you go. Yeah. So Tia, where are you from in Kentucky?
I'm originally from Minnie, Kentucky. That's a tiny little town in the mountains of East Kentucky.
Okay, all right. Well, there might be a GA or a CA or an RA there too.
Yeah, I did GAs in East Kentucky.
Okay, great. Well, tell us a little bit about your ministry in Guadalajara.
We have been living in this city for 1 year and a half, more or less, and our primary focus is in church planting here in Guadalajara. Now, this area, Guadalajara and 4 or 5 more states around here, is called like the Bajío, Mexican Bajío. So the Bajío is the more populated and less rich area in the Americas. In the American continent, in the whole American continent, this is the more populated and less rich. The percentage of evangelicals or Christians here is like a 2-3% only. So Guadalajara is a city into the Bajío. So we're living in Guadalajara. We are working in church planting. And so yeah, we currently are working in an area called Santa Fe. Yeah, Santa Fe is an area that is located like, how do you say, outskirts?
The outskirts of the city.
And we have been working there for some months, trying to establish first an outreach group, and who eventually will grow to a church planting. So the way that we work is that we try to connect with local partners, local believers, and we start working with them, disciple them, and if they have a call for church planting, so we start working together. So in Santa Fe, we identified one family. We're working with them. We met twice per week online because COVID situation.
Right.
And but now we are in the access point there over there in Santa Fe. So we'll start meeting friends, know more about the area, stuff like that.
Okay.
Yeah. So yeah, that's what we do.
So tell us how your family helps with church planting. Do they have a part in that? Is it a family affair?
Well, anytime kids are involved, you're going to get the attraction of other families, other kids. And, there's play dates that happen and things like that, where anytime we go anywhere, I mean, Elliana is just a sponge for friends.
Right.
And so anywhere we go, if there's like a play area or a playground, she immediately becomes friends with, whoever is there. And she's even shared about Christ with a taxi driver and with kids and things like that. And
remember the person that thought rocks were powerful?
Oh yeah, in Chiapas there was a lady who sold rocks that had healing powers in the street, and she was advertising them as such. But Elliana was explaining that the true healer is Jesus. And so it was hard for us to talk with her, but her and Elliana got along, and every time we passed by there, they would talk. And every time Elliana would share about Jesus with her, and she was reluctant, but listened out of respect. But then she would, call us down if she saw us and wave at us. And and ask Elliana how she was doing and things like that. And it all started with her wanting to sell Elliana a rock.
And
Super,
also,
But it was one pretty rock.
people is curious about how we both meet each other because we're from two different cultures. So we take that like an occasion to share the gospel. So before I tell them how or where do we met, I try to explain what happened before. And so that's an opportunity to share a testimony. So we share testimony. I say how I became a believer, and then I was sent as a missionary to a small town, and that's where I met her. So yeah, we try to use everything really to share the gospel with people.
There's so many ways to connect with people, and it takes a conversation, and you find things that are similar, and everyone has the same need of love, and who is love. And so it's easy to bridge a conversation into the gospel. And Elliana was 4 when she shared with the taxi driver, and he ended up being a believer, but he let her share. So it just gives the opportunity that kids of all ages.
Yeah, and there's a lot of kids here. There's several restaurants with playground areas. So we go to those restaurants and yeah, we just let the kids play and run, and we start talking to their parents. Yeah.
Well, they're true missionary kids.
Yeah.
Children of missionaries, but actually missionaries themselves. That's great. Elliana, that's a good example for all the girls watching and boys watching.
Yeah, we've never told her or asked her to share about Christ. It's just something that she does naturally. And so it's, no one should ever feel pressured to share, but we are called, to share love, and who is love, and that's Christ. And so it's just, it's just finding similar interests. Kids can find ways to be able to segue that into a conversation about who Christ is in their life. And it's not forcing anything on anyone. It's just sharing who he is in your personal life.
Well, I am trying to teach Elliana now. I know that she will share all, but I try to teach her when to share, and sometimes make friends first with some people, depends, and then or let me to share first, and then she can watch, or she can watch Mama, and so yeah, she will share, but we're trying to teach her when to share, how to share, stuff like that.
Great. So how is the culture of Guadalajara different than, say, Kentucky, Tia? How was that different for you? Or is that a big question, I guess?
Some of the things, some of the differences would be, of course, language. Spanish is the dominant language here, and English is the dominant language in Kentucky. And in East Kentucky, it's my accent. It's the dominant language. And some of the other differences is I never knew so many different types of tacos existed on this planet that exist all here in Mexico. And it's nothing like Taco Bell. So while Taco Bell is fine, it's good. When you're here, you do not miss Taco Bell. It's the tacos are very, very different, but a good different, and more tasty and healthier different. And also a lot of people in Kentucky love the cheese dip. The white queso dip that you get in Mexican restaurants. You cannot find it here. That is a U.S. thing. And so I wasn't prepared for that. I thought I was going to have some chimichangas down here. No, not chimichangas. But some other differences is you get to explore like different foods because it's not what you grew up with. And so if you ever find yourself in Mexico and you get to explore and try different foods, my favorite is chili en nogada. It's a big chili stuffed with meat and some cooked apples, and it sounds weird, and it's got almonds in it, and you cover it with walnut cream cheese sauce and with what's the fruit they put it? Pomegranate. And so it sounds really strange, but it's so good. So you get to try foods that you never imagined trying. Yeah, and Elliana has ventured out, more and more and tried foods here. What's your favorite food here? That's different from the U.S. I'll let her think on. But yeah. So, what's some other differences that you think of?
Here, there's a lot of people eat spicy food.
Kids
Very
eat spicy.
So when someone, if you buy food here and the people they sell it say it's a little bit spicy, you need to be careful because that means a lot spicy.
Yes.
And yeah, so yeah, language sure is the main difference. And another difference is also in the U.S., especially in Kentucky, we are used to see Mexican people there that are working in farms or in factories, and sometimes they have a low income there. But here you have people that is rich, and middle class Mexicans and people that is rich. Almost, I think 39% of people in Mexico is above the poverty line, and so there's a lot of people here that is poor as well, but there's a lot of people that have a lot of stuff and the business and yeah and degrees, academic degrees and all the stuff. And actually this group of people is one of the more difficult to reach with the gospel. Yeah, they are very, very difficult, very hard to reach with the gospel.
Mhm.
And another thing that the kids may like is if you've ever had a pinata at your birthday party where you got to smash it and get all the candy out, they do that for New Year's. They do that for Christmas. They do that for birthdays. Some birthdays have 4 and 5 different pinatas. So pinatas are a big thing here.
Oh, all the kids at home are going to be jealous of you, Elliana, with all those pinatas. It's your birthday. So
Lots of sweets.
are there any things that are similar to Kentucky? What you say that we have in common?
Elliana, what's your favorite restaurant ever? You can say.
Here in Guadalajara, what's your favorite restaurant?
Where do you always ask to go, you and Ezra?
Quick, baby, quick.
McDonald's.
They have a McDonald's.
Oh, right. Yeah.
I think McDonald's is everywhere.
They have Costco, McDonald's, Sam's Club.
They have an Applebee's. It's expensive, but they have one. They have a Chuck E. Cheese.
Yeah. Chuck E. Cheese.
Oh, they have a Dairy Queen. You can get blizzards here.
Like in Kentucky, people love sports, specifically basketball and football. Here, also, a lot of people that love sports, but it's soccer, the sports that they love the most. And people like art. I know in Kentucky, there's a lot of people that love art. So yeah, people here love art, and there's lots of guitars, acoustic guitars everywhere, and graffitis in the streets and
Toy
stuff.
cars.
Yeah, there's good graffiti and bad graffiti. There's
Artistic graffiti.
There's artistic graffiti where, I mean, it's some of the best paintings I've seen on walls, on buildings, on apartment buildings and things like that. And then you have the illegal, not good graffiti that is just people writing on top of things.
Right.
Just like you don't write on mommy and daddy's walls, you shouldn't write on public walls either, unless the government pays you to make it really pretty.
Yeah. You shared how Elliana has shared the gospel with people. Are there any other stories you want to tell about people you've told about Jesus?
I want to tell about my favorite foods. Okay.
Well, no, she asked a different question now, baby. Do you want to share? Do you want Daddy to share his story?
Share about what's my favorite foods.
Let me share that. Okay, what's the question?
Can you tell us another story about how you've shared the gospel or good news about Jesus with someone?
Okay. Here, for instance, in the area where we want to plant a church, it's an area that is new in the city, and people are kind of shy. They don't trust too much in new faces. in part because this is a neighborhood that they didn't grow all together. So, and it's kind of dangerous as well. So they don't trust too much in new people, even between themselves. They don't trust too much. So we try to figure it out how to make friends there. So what I have been using, and so far is a more successful tool for access and for make first contact with people, is photography. I used to do photography when I was in the US. So we went into those Facebook groups in that area, and we became members of those Facebook group. And then I offered to give some basic lessons in photography, and you can use even your cell phone, I say, for learn photography. And we opened a group, an online group, and so that's where we are start meeting friends. We have friends there. Every day we talk something about photography. We became friends, and we also go out in that area to do some pictures, to practice what we are learning. And so far I have been able to share the gospel with 2 people from that group. And so we had to figure it out, some creative access,
Right.
to get into that community. Yeah.
I
And
like
so those of you that are old enough to have Facebook or social media and your parents allow that, you can use that as a platform to share your faith. And everybody has their own talents. Like my husband is a photography, and yours may be art or singing or something like that, but you can use that to sing glory to God, to sing a song, or to sing Bible verses like Seeds Family Worship does, to sing Bible verses on your social media. So there's all kinds of ways that you can use what you have where you're at to share.
I like what you said about making friends first. I think that's a good suggestion for boys and girls who want to share about Jesus, but maybe not sure how to get started, but just make a friend and then go from
Yes.
there. Great.
Yeah.
So what are the needs of the people that you see?
The number one need would be Christ and Christ alone. Realizing that it's not their works, it's not extra things, that it's through Christ alone is salvation. So just a clear understanding of the gospel is the number one need, and that would be anywhere. But it can be confusing here when there's a lot of different, and in the US too, where there's a lot of different religions that will use the name of Jesus. They will even use parts of the Bible, but add to it or take away from it. And Revelations tells us clearly, do not add or do not take away from His word. So just helping people to know Jesus personally, and that it's only through Him.
And to know the scriptures. Many people here have a Bible, but they don't read it. They just follow tradition. Roman Catholic Church is the main religion here, and so many people know that Jesus exists, but they don't know like why, and they don't know that He's a Savior and He's a Lord, nothing like that. Mm-hmm. So in order to teach that, you have to be friends first. You have to be a good friend, and then they will listen to you. And so other need that they have is with the COVID situation, many people has lose their jobs, and so there is a lot of like economic, it's a hard economic situation for people living here in some areas of the city more than others. And the other need will be, well, in the area where we are looking to plant a church, will be safety as well. Has many people have lose their jobs and stuff like that. There is some increase in crime, so we are trying to be extra careful in the places where we go.
Okay, so the kids can pray for you about safety and in the place that you're going to plant the church, and then everybody is familiar with the problems of COVID, so we'll know to pray about that. And
yes.
Then know this
health.
Right. Are there any other prayer requests that you have?
That we could find a local partner, preferably male, so that once it becomes a church plant in an area, if God leads him, that he could could lead
he could be a pastor
he
there.
could be the pastor of the church plant. And
So we can move to a different places into the city. So that's part of the strategy, to work with a local partner, work 4 or 5 years, that person stay there like a pastor, and boom, we move to a different place to plant another church. So yeah, we're looking for a local partner, and
to get to know more neighbors and more
Yeah.
people in Santa Fe.
Mhm.
That you can imagine that if it's a dangerous area, they're not very open to new people, welcoming new people in. They barely even talk to their neighbors, just to say, you know, good night or hello, and that's pretty much it. So neighbors don't really know each other. It's only been 3 years that the apartment complex has been out there. It's like a neighborhood. So yeah, so to get to know them.
Okay.
But-
So now we know how we can pray for you. So thank you so much for being with us and sharing your life and your
Well,
kids.
I think Elliana has a little friend that she
one?
wants to introduce the
okay.
kids.
Great.
So right before quarantine, we got 3 fish and a gecko, a leopard
And we
gecko.
didn't know that fish had babies.
But God has been using these pets, especially during this quarantine time. And this is Leo, the
The
gecko.
leopard gecko.
Ah,
Tail.
His tail's pretty.
You can put him on mine.
the missionary gecko.
Yes, this is the missionary gecko. And actually, we're going to include him in our strategy as well, for
Okay.
sure. Yeah.
He's so colorful. and
Yeah.
pretty.
Yeah.
Some kids may be curious, and some kids may be like, "Get that off the screen."
I
He
think
has
most
a
will be
very
curious.
soft tail.
That's something you can
But we're getting into some groups of people that have reptiles as a pets.
Hey.
So we try to make friends and share the gospel through that. So
Hey, don't get the line.
Yeah, it's a good pet if you have allergies,
Oh.
and they're very, very easy to take care of, which was my requirement.
Okay. All right.
It's
So
we're gonna pray, okay?
the fish, you're in the fish tank, so we won't see.
Yeah.
those. Well, thank you so much. And I hope all the kids out there and adults who see this will be encouraged. I know I am. And so finding some creative ways to share about Jesus and also know how to pray for you there.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Enjoyed meeting you. Thank you so much.
Thank y'all.